Throughout life, we go through the sad moments, the happy moments, and moments that sometimes just drive us crazy. And today we're here to learn what we can be to achieve greatness. And welcome to the program, Moments of Greatness, with me, your host, Maimba, spelled M-A-I-M-B-A, and we've got Coach Natsi on the show. Coach Natsi, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Maimba.
So, Coach, you are an author, you are a life coach, and you've written a book called Greatness Awaits.
Yeah.
What exactly about life do you want to talk about?
Many people go through life waiting for greatness, but I believe that as many wait for greatness, greatness is already waiting for them. So in this process, we're going to be talking about how to unleash the greatness that is in every individual.
So every individual, everybody is born with some sort of greatness?
Every individual who's alive today, there are seeds of greatness within them. The question is, do they know the greatness that God has put within them?
So what stops us from finding out this greatness that is found in every individual?
There are many reasons why many people don't find the greatness within them. Sometimes it's ignorance. Sometimes it's not desire to search for that greatness within every individual.
There's a popular statement in your book that we're going to touch on.
Yeah.
You say that some are born great, some have greatness thrust upon them, and some achieve greatness. Do you want to break that down a little bit so that we understand on which category some of us find ourselves in?
I believe that some people, they do certain things in their lives that they end up achieving big things for them. Some people, they find themselves born in a different background that makes them seem like they started on a different foundation like other people. But at the end of the day, every individual is born with greatness within them. So now that you find greatness within you, you have to make sure that you take time to discover that greatness. It's not going to come to you on a silver plate.
How do I discover this? How do I discover this greatness that you're talking about?
For me, one of the ways that helped me to find this greatness within me was to start by asking myself important questions. The quality of your life is determined by the questions one is prepared to ask themselves. I began to ask myself important questions, which I believe every individual needs to ask themselves.
What type of questions are these? I mean, do you just wake up and start asking yourselves questions? The questions have got to be the right questions. So what type of questions are we talking about?
For example, number one, every individual needs to ask themselves, number one question, the identity question.
Identity pertaining to who you are.
Who am I as an individual? And many people ask themselves that question, who am I? But the challenge is most people, they don't know how to answer that question. Number two question, each individual needs to ask themselves is the destiny question. Where am I going as an individual?
So we move from who am I to go to the destiny question, and going back to the who am I question, my question then to you is, how does one find out who they are?
One of the ways that has helped me to find who I am, it is a journey, it is a process. It didn't just happen. I had to do a lot of things. Sometimes I had to make a lot of mistakes in trying to find out who I am. But one of the ways that I found myself today, when I look at my own life, I have come to a place where I realize my own assignment, my own mandate, which I believe is twofold.
Okay.
Number one, I believe that God has created me to be able to make people know God. Number two, I believe God has created me to help people to know who they are in God. The first thing to make people know God, it is what makes me the pastor side of me. And the second aspect that has to do with making people know who they are in God is what helps me to be the life coach.
So you're a coach and you're also a pastor.
Yes, I am.
That's like a double dose of coach and spirituality.
These are roles that I play, but they don't define who I am.
Okay. Let's move to the second question. A person has asked themselves, who am I? And the second question is a destiny question. What are we talking about there?
Destiny question, where am I going? Where are you taking your life to? When I look at your life in the next 10 years, in the next 20 years, where are you going? A lot of us, we just wake up in the morning, we're doing the same things, or we're just doing things now and again, but we are not even clear, where am I going as an individual?
So each time somebody wakes up early in the morning, they literally do not have an idea where they're actually going. They have no destination.
Definitely. One of the best ways that's going to help you to be able to know your destination, where you're going, is question number 3. Which is the purpose question.
Which is the purpose question.
Why were you born? Because for me to be able to know where I am going, I must be able to know why was I born as an individual. The why question is more important than the what, than the how.
The why question is more important than the what, than the how. So it's why, what, how. That's leading us into the fourth question, right?
Yeah. Because you can't start to talk about how you want to do it. What do you want to do? You must be able to know what do you want to do. You must be able to know why do you want to do what you want to do. Then I'm able to know when I've done this, where am I going? Then one of the key things is the how question, which is question number 4, the process question. Most of us ask ourselves the question, who am I? Where do I want to go? How do I want to go there? But these 3 questions, because we don't have answers for, we then put them aside, or we don't entertain the thoughts and the imagination because we don't know the how to. As a pastor myself, I found this. We preach the ought to messages, but we don't preach the how to messages, which is the reason why I find myself passionate to coach people in terms of life, in answering these questions.
So as you coach people, do you really believe that people can actually transform their lives and discover this greatness through these questions that you've outlined? Is this practical? Is this real? Because we've had so much of motivation. Motivational talk is all over the place.
Right.
You know, inspirational talk is all over the place. And people, whether you go on the internet or you read a book, it's all about motivation.
Yeah.
My question to you is, do we have real, simple people
That's right.
whose lives have been transformed?
That's right. You know, most people, they say motivation doesn't last. I tell people that just like bathing, it doesn't last. That's why you need it daily. But the thing that you need to understand with the process that we are taking people through, it is the practical aspect of it, which is not just motivational, but which is transformational. I am one clear example of the stuff that I'm talking about, because my life has been transformed.
Well, Zimbabwe, there you have it. Today we're talking about the whys, the hows, the whats, and trying to find out your purpose in life. We've got Coach Natsi on the show. And in the second segment, we're going to find out a little bit deeper about the man himself. Why does he think that he's the person who can tell us to be greater than what we are today? Stay with us as we come back for the second segment. Welcome back, Zimbabwe, to the program Moments of Greatness. A journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step, and a journey to knowing your greatness literally starts with you knowing your purpose. And we're joined in the studio today with Coach Natsi, who's also a pastor, Pastor Natsi. And in the first segment, of course, we are about to really try and find out what made you go into the same journey of greatness yourself.
I think one of the things that really got me to this place was a desperation of finding out who am I. Born and bred in the community of Mbare, where people say what good can come out of Mbare.
You were born in Mbare?
Yes.
Okay.
A young man who had no clear identity of who he was, born in a family of 10. My parents came from Mozambique, and part of my family was born in Mozambique.
You were 10 in your family?
Yeah.
One dad, one mom.
Exactly.
Your mom gave 10 children.
10 children. She's a strong woman. She's still alive today.
A second name is Greatness, I would assume. But anyway, go on.
So, born in a family of 10.
Yeah.
And my father was a truck driver, and my mother was a stay-at-home mom. And life was not easy. You know, you grow up so poor, sometimes not even the poor call you poor.
That's
You know,
bad.
I always laugh and say some people are so poor that they can't pay bills, but sometimes some of us were so poor that we couldn't pay attention.
You couldn't, yeah.
So the situation is this: growing up in this community, in a very difficult situation, I didn't know who I was as an individual. I remember I started even traveling with my own father as a truck driver. And unfortunately, when I was 18, then my father passed away before I wrote my O-levels. I found myself working even at the church as a caretaker.
So you worked as a caretaker at a church?
Yes.
Looking after the buildings?
Looking at the building, cleaning up the place. So for 3 years, I served as a caretaker. It was a very difficult moment. This is at 18, where, you know what, you're growing up, you're trying to find out who you are, and there you are, you're serving in the church. You have no clear direction of who you are going to be. But
Yeah.
amazingly to say that 10 years later, I became the pastor of the same church.
So you were cleaning the toilets
Uh-huh.
at this church, and then 10 years later, you were the pastor
Yes.
of the same church.
And one of the things I believe that really made me to become great is you must always have people who see in you what you don't see in yourself. If you were to ask me that time, that will I be where I am today, my answer would have said no.
So quickly, as a pastor, I mean, your mandate is to lead people to God so that people receive salvation. Have you achieved this? Is this something that you constantly remind yourself that you need to do?
It is a journey. It's not only just people to know about God, but I believe it's to make people know God, which has to do with an experience, helping people to do that. But there's an aspect when you begin to know God, God will begin to reveal you to yourself.
And you've got two aspects. Of course, you are a pastor, but you've always said that you're a coach.
Yeah.
And as a coach, when you move from spirituality to being a coach, is this now carnal stuff?
I don't really believe so. I don't believe so. It's still spiritual stuff. Because when God created every individual must then discover who they are.
Okay.
So I don't think it's being carnal. Many of us, we compartmentalize our lives where we think this is spiritual, this is secular. But when it comes to your life, you have to realize that whatever you have to do in your life, whether it has to do with your career, whether it's to do with your schooling, never regard it as this is spiritual. This is now carnal.
But being a coach as well, one of the things that pastors are known for, not all of them, but pastors are known to be untouchables, to be walking in different stratospheres than some of us. And how do you manage to be humble, to show a level of humility, to be a person that is accessible and able to reach out to the very simple of people?
One of the things that has always helped me to stay humble is to know where I came from. Knowing my own background, if somebody was proud enough never to reach out to me, where would I be? So that's number one. Number two, when I look at the Lord Jesus Christ as a perfect example, how he was able to connect and to touch people's lives. So you can never touch people as long as they are just impressed about you. So you make a decision. Do you want to impress people or do you want to impact people?
So, okay, so do you want to impress people or you want to impact people? You said something earlier on where you said that you have to have somebody who speaks into your life. Now, with a person just out there, a simple person, what happens if I don't have anybody who speaks into my life? Because when a person is growing up, half the time they're told that they amount to nothing, that you're not going to succeed in anything. That's probably the greatest voice that people have to live with, than being told that you're going to be something. How does one deal with that?
That is why I believe a program like this is going to be very important to help every individual, that as much as important it is for you to find yourself, but you can't find yourself if you're just by yourself. You need somebody out there who you are able to look up to. And there are many ways to do that. There are many books, there are many programs that can be able to help you to find these mentors, and they're everywhere.
But these are the same books, Coach Nasi, where it's just motivation, it's just inspiration, but they don't show a practical way of actually becoming great.
I believe one of the best ways, whenever I read a book myself, it's not about accumulation of information. Information without application will always lead to deprivation. What is more important whenever you read a book? Like with the book I wrote, Greatest Awaits, I tell people, interact with this book, apply this book. And one of the things, at the end of each chapter, I literally ask people some specific questions. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much you know. If you cannot apply what you know, it means nothing.
In life, one needs a couple of ingredients to make it through and to surpass and be the greatest person that you can be. And in the two lives that we've found out, the one life, but with two angles, that the pastor is God, being a pastor and a coach, we get to find out how much he impacts and touches the lives of different people as a pastor and indeed as a life coach. So join us, Zimbabwe, as we come back for the third and final segment in Moments of Greatness. Welcome back, Zimbabwe, to the program Moments of Greatness. And in each one of us, as the coach would say, there's a greatness that needs to be found, whether it's found, you're born with it, or it's thrust upon you, that there's some greatness that you need to just tap into and make sure that by the time that you leave this earth, you have discovered it. Now, Coach Nancy, you speak in your book, Greatness Awaits, about 8 keys to greatness and turning potential to greatness. Do you want to take us through those 8 keys?
That's right. Like in chapter 1, I talk about self-awareness. That's where I address the question, who am I, in a very practical way. In chapter 2, I deal with self-introspection, a place where you're able to look within yourself, because greatness is not outside you, greatness is inside you. So it's important that one has to learn to know how do you see into you. The third chapter, I talk about self-confidence. I believe that you will never rise above your level of confidence. I've seen a lot of gifted people, but because of confidence, they always look down upon themselves. Then in chapter 4, I deal with self-appreciation, where I ask the question, are you grateful or are you a great fool?
Okay.
Because if you are not
Are you
someone-
grateful or are you a great fool?
That's right.
Okay.
You will never discover greatness until you're someone who's prepared to pay attention to detail. Then chapter 5, I deal with self-confidence. No, not self-confidence, I deal with self-development. Are you prepared to develop you? If you're a company, would people be excited to come and invest in you? Chapter 6, we deal with self-sacrifice. Everything said and done, if you are not prepared to make the sacrifices, you will become the sacrifice yourself. In chapter 7, we then deal with self-expectation. Life does not give you what you deserve. Life will always give you what you expect. Then chapter 8, we deal with self-push, unleashing the unstoppable you. Are you prepared to get deep down within you to unleash this greatness? I believe that you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great.
You don't have to be great to start, but you have to be,
You have to start
you have to start
to be great.
to be great. In other words, the secret is in starting.
It is in starting.
But that is always everybody's Achilles heel. This is the greatest tragedy of life,
That's
that we
right.
never get to start.
The reason is because most people, in their attempt to want to be great, they also want to start great. You must be prepared to start small if you are going to be great.
But you've got a university graduate leaves university. The next thing they want is a corner office on the 15th floor. How do you? Because that's what we've been taught to become. Even our education system
right.
tells us that once you've done your degree, you deserve to be the senior management or middle management. You cannot start by being at a lower rank.
Truth be said is, I wish if life was like that. The only thing that starts from the top is grave digging. Everything else has to start from the bottom.
Whoa.
And you grow into it. One of the things I want to tell you, my investors, I don't do great things. I do small things, but I do them in a great way.
I want to take back. The reason why I've got moments of is because you keep throwing in these. I don't know where they
You
got them
continue
from.
to have your moments of greatness.
Yeah, but I think you got them from pastor school or something. But my point is, your first one, which is self-introspection. This is something that we don't, even as a people, we don't really have time to look into ourselves,
That's right.
and find out who we are from inside. Because most of the time, like I said earlier on, is that we have people talking into us, whether it's our parents. Our parents mold and form us, whether they are scolding or everything, which then develops us into these very timid and fearful beings. How do we escape from that?
The reason is, most of us, we don't talk to ourselves because we don't know what to talk to ourselves. Most times when we are with ourselves, we are worrying. But when you begin to understand, which I teach in the book, how do you learn to spend time with you? I talk to me more than I talk to anyone else, because I'm asking myself important questions. It's not the quantity of the questions you ask, it's the quality of the
You
questions
talk to yourself
ask.
more than you talk to your wife?
That's right. Because I can't talk to her if I can't talk to me.
Okay. All right. I don't know if she's watching, but you can't talk to her. It's more than that.
That's why
For
she
as long
then
as you
can-
can't talk to yourself.
That's why she then can enjoy me, because I have learned to master enjoying me.
You first talk to yourself,
Yeah.
and then you get to talk to your wife, and then you talk to your kids. I mean, there's a lot of talking happening all over the place. But that's it. Some people use this as inspiration. Is this your way of inspiring yourself before you inspire other people?
It is important. You can never give what you don't have. You teach what you know, you produce who you are. So it's important that if you're going to love anybody, you have to love yourself first.
Just like the biblical sayings, love others as you would treat others as you would treat yourself.
So I must be able to give out of my overflow.
Okay. And in your overflow, these are the nuggets that you've got of greatness, starting from your family and starting from the church and everything else that you do.
Which is the whole thing. If your motivation is going to be practical, it has to be practical to you as an individual, so that it works for you, for it to be able to work for other people. Because for my family, number one, I must be a model. So I can't model what I am not.
Okay.
And secondly, I have to mentor them.
But they say that do as I say, not as I do.
They say that, so there's a lot of things that are said, but are they really true? There has to be a place where you begin to question what people say, or you have to question what everyone else is saying. How true is it?
Well, Zimbabwe, there you have it. Greatness awaits. 8 keys to greatness, turning potential to greatness. As the first program and going forward, we're going to be unlocking each one of these keys and trying to find out how best that you can literally turn your potential to greatness. I mean, you know how it is. Some die at 30 and are buried at 80, 50 years of death. It's important that you find your greatness before we literally bury you under the ground. My name is Maimba, your host, spelled M-A-I-M-B-A. It's been a total pleasure. Coach Natsi,
It's been awesome.
it's been awesome. Until next week, yeah?
I look forward for this journey.
He looks forward to this journey. I also look forward to this journey. I hope that you, Zimbabwe, look forward to this journey where we're literally going to transform lives and change lives and make sure that you can be the best that you can be. God keep you. God protect you. We out of here.